Do you think Tucker is wise? Do you think he's wise going to Moscow and doing a sit-down with Putin?
He's incredibly wise, and he is also not just wise, he's brave. There obviously has been a lot of lies sold to us. You can just go back and look at what the mainstream media was saying on the first day that Russia invaded Ukraine. It's much of their emotional engineering. People didn't understand what was happening, but we were told that we just have to be okay with billions of dollars going overseas. And this is what I refer to as the political commentariat, where they're controlling your ideas, but you actually don't have access to true information. They're not telling you what the other president that's involved in this conflict is saying. If you dare to share that information, you're being called a Putin puppet. It's pointedly ridiculous. We need more information in America. We believe in this radical idea of free speech. And Tucker Carlson doing that interview, conducting it despite the fact that the NSA was spying on him, spying on his text messages, trying to prevent that from happening. Seeing the way that they are reacting, reading news today that the EU is considering sanctioning Tucker Carlson regarding an interview that they have not even seen, is all you need to know that the majority of the news that you are watching is bought and paid for, and they work to serve the state. And Tucker Carlson has gotten around that, and every individual should watch this interview, not because you should agree with everything that Putin says, but because you should hear different sides and come to conclusions after researching what both sides are saying.
No, I agree with you. And, I understand the frustration in America with sending this money abroad. I understand the corruption of Ukraine. Of course I do. However, I will say to you, Candace, that if you were living in Poland right now or Western Ukraine, you might be a little bit frightened by what Putin's doing.
Of course. By the way, you would always be frightened if you live in any circumstance, where you have people that are having a war near your borders, right? We're frightened by the war that's happening on our border right now and being told that we shouldn't care about it because we should care more about Ukraine's borders. It's pointedly foolish, So to say that you want to hear what is the reason that we are funding this war does not also mean that you don't feel sympathetic towards Ukrainians or sympathetic towards any innocent civilians that are being impacted by war anywhere across the world. It says, you're telling me that I need to wake up in the morning and I need to go to work so that you can extract tax dollars from me to go overseas to be sent to Ukrainians, unaccounted tax dollars, because they always magically lose this accounting, the Pentagon. They have no idea where the money is going. We deserve an explanation, an honest explanation of what we are doing in Ukraine, because to say that we are not at war with Ukraine is simply untrue. We are fighting a proxy war with Russia. I want to hear all sides of the equation, and that does not remove my sympathies for how I feel about any person, Russian or Ukrainian, any innocent civilian who has been impacted by the conflict.
You're absolutely right. In a free democracy, we should hear all sides of the argument before we make up our minds on where we are.
Tucker Carlson is in Moscow right now interviewing Vladimir Putin.
Right.
The first American, I'll say, journalist to interview Putin since the war in Ukraine began. What does that tell you about Tucker Carlson and right-wing media and also Vladimir Putin?
Well, it shows me what I think we've all known. He's what's called a useful idiot. I mean, if you actually read translations of what's being said on Russian media, they make fun of him. I mean, he's like a puppy dog. He somehow has, after having been fired from so many outlets in the United States, I would not be surprised if he emerges with a contract with a Russian outlet, because he is a useful idiot. He says things that are not true. He parrots Vladimir Putin's pack of lies about Ukraine. So I don't see why Putin wouldn't give him an interview, because through him, he can, continue to lie about what his, objectives are in Ukraine and what he expects to see happen. It's really quite sad that not just somebody like Tucker Carlson, who has, as I said, been fired so many times because he seems unable to, correlate his reporting with the truth, but also because it's a sign that there are people in this country right now who are like a fifth column for Vladimir Putin. And why? I don't know. I mean, why are certain Republicans throwing their lot in? Why are, other Americans basically believing Putin? Why did Trump believe Putin more than our 11 intelligence agencies?
I don't know. Do you have a working theory?
I do have a working theory. But it's more than just the political partisan advantage. There is a yearning for leaders who can kill and imprison their opponents, destroy the press, lead a life that is one of impunity, unbound by any laws. There's a yearning among certain people in our country for that kind of leadership, and I find that absolutely gobsmacking terrifying.